The markets are seeming a bit exhausted, and there's no real news today. And so people are concentrating on the NVIDIA earnings, which will happen after the bell later today. There was precious little going on in the Tesla world as well, but we do have some pretty interesting news here. I'm a little bit surprised to see a continued softness in Tesla in this environment. As I noted yesterday on X, the risk to me on Tesla right now is about maybe 10% down. I mean, we could go back into that 190 area again, but that's a pretty limited risk. Sure, could it go even lower than that? But why? I mean, let me know in the comments below. On the other hand, we certainly, it's not that hard to anticipate a 10x compared to a 10% drop, the 10x on the other side. I'm not sure there's ever been such a lopsided investment opportunity in history, maybe ever, on any product. So yeah, I'm a little bit, so we're in a kind of a vague market right now. I mean, obviously, gold at all-time highs, Dow at all-time highs, S&P. I mean, we're looking at assets being really, really stretched. And that is part of my concern right now, is all these stretched assets going into this election year. So anyway, we'll start. Tesla Roddy says this morning that Tesla's in-car navigation has experienced a huge improvement in a recent software update that included one simple feature. Tesla's in-car navigation is one of the best features available in terms of the car's tech. It features satellite imagery and live traffic status updates as long as you have the premium connectivity. However, the presence of the nav on the massive center screen is a great touch that makes this one of the best systems in the entire automotive industry. Well, thank you, Tesla Roddy. Now Tesla is adding a new improvement that will undoubtedly help drivers avoid unnecessary delays. According to not a Tesla app, Tesla has added a construction. They've added construction to the in-car nav. It helps drivers recognize potential road work on their preferred route, which might cause a delay. The addition of the construction on the in-car nav comes with software update 2024.32. Construction delays were recognized previously and were considered during the route guidance. However, the vehicle will now show the area of the roadwork with an icon roughly estimating its locations. In order to get this construction icon, we'll have to have premium connectivity, which includes live traffic visualization, satellite view maps, and navigation is a standard feature, but you'll need the premium if you want those additional benefits. This from the limiting factor this morning. Good news about the 4680 has hit a new energy density high. It says, he says, this has been great work by the team at Tesla. It looks like the cyber cell and the structural battery pack are now right on par with the best high nickel battery cells and packs from any of Tesla's suppliers. These appear to have be overinflated based on my review of the EPA data. So on the one hand, he's saying that a lot of the other products that are out there don't measure up to EPA data. And now, based on his analysis and some of the work that has been done, he's saying that 4680 is at least at those levels. So he has a video out talking about that. You might want to check that out. You should definitely be following the limiting factor. And speaking of who you should be following, we, of course, always pay attention when AJ says something. And sometimes I even then bring it along to you. You should be following AJ. He's, of course, under 𝐤𝐿𝐿𝐽 on X. He says this about the Polestar. He says, this was long overdue. Polestar CEO Thomas Ingenlath was fired. Fired. He says, I complained a lot about him. Listening to Polestar's earnings calls, I never walked away impressed by any of the answers he articulated. Polestar's poor performance more than confirmed what appeared to be a superficial impression. Thomas was ex-Volkswagen. Well, there you go. Thomas's successor, Michael Lohscheller, who was ex-Opel, VinFast, and Nikola. Michael lost his job at Nikola about 1.5 years ago and was bouncing around since then. I'm sure Michael will work hard. I am sure. Anyway, he thinks that Michael will work hard at Polestar, but looking at his CV, I see a clear trajectory downward. Michael knows that this might be the last meaningful gig he gets in the automotive industry before he leaves the story stage for good. He says, regarding the future of Polestar, at present, my base case is that Geely will take Polestar off the market, delist them, and closely integrate with Geely in a way that is similar to Geely's Galaxy brand, or maybe similar to BMW and the Mini brand. So he says, rest in peace, Polestar. Yikes. Well, you know, we've said all along that there's going to be a lot of casualties in this EV buildup. The BEV market, it's hard. There's nothing easy about getting into any business, much less the car business. As Elon said, he thought he had only a 10% chance of victory when he got into the car business. He said the same thing about rocketry, and they did have a rough morning today. One of their boosters landed. The landing. I forget what they call that thing. The leg on the landing crumbled, and the booster fell over. So I didn't see any more than that. Dr. Scott Walter had a mention of that. So this is Randy Kirk, by the way. I think you know that. Hit the like and subscribe and notify button if you don't mind. We'd love to have you, of course, be involved with us over on Patreon. We've had a dearth. It's been a sad maybe a week or so since the last person joined. So could you be the one to start the movement towards building up my Patreon base? Believe me, this is I started to say a great business, this is a great business in that I love doing it. It's an okay business in terms of I made money practically from month one, and not a bad first year business in terms of how much money, but we're still talking about maybe $35 an hour. That ain't great. Okay, then we got Scott Walter. I don't know if we'll have Scott on this morning or not. I can't find any robot news out there, but if there is any, he'll know about it. He and I will have a conversation in a minute and decide whether Scott will be on later date. If not, we will find something else to do in that slot. And then, of course, Jeff Lutz on tonight. Okay, this is from the 𝐤𝐽𝐵 letter. This is really, he finds stuff that I don't see and that nobody else is talking about. This is super interesting. White collar employment is weakening. The number of employees in professional and business services and financial and information industries rose just 0.6% year over year in July. That's the lowest since March of 2021. In other words, employment in these industries has increased by just 126,000 over the last 12 months. He says white-collar job growth has been steadily declining for the past 3 years. In the past, such a significant drop was only been seen 2021, 2000 even, and 2001, and also the 2008 financial crisis, and then the 2020 pandemic. So yeah, white-collar folks not doing so well out there. And this overall trend, you know where I stand in all of this. I continue to say we are in recession. This will become known at some point in the future. The Dow Jones Industrial and the S&P and the NASDAQ probably headed for another 10% correction. I don't know that we'll go to a bear market. It probably takes something more than what we know right now to get it all the way into bear, but I think we'll get another 10% correction. I think we will end up around where we are at the end of the year. Because earlier I said we'd end up 5% up, but since then we've gone up. Okay, so I think we'll end up around where we are at the end of this year, going into 2025. I think Tesla will be at 265 before we get to 1010. That's my projection. Still believe it. I think we will get to higher than that if we get any kind of really serious update in either the product, the FSD product. In other words, we get it to level 5, or we get robotaxi, supervised robotaxis or something like that. after 1010, or if that's the announcement at 1010, then I think we go to 300 or maybe even higher. If we really get robotaxi on the road, or we really get level 5, then we go to all-time high. AJ has already mentioned he thinks we could be at double where we are right now. So 420, 440, somewhere in that range. I believe that as well. And then, of course, as we get into 2025, we'll be seeing things like the Juniper. We'll be seeing the potential of the energy storage megafactory starting actual production in Shanghai. There's so many things happening in the first quarter that we could be going past all-time highs. Again, I think it's all predicated on whether we get to level 5 and or whether there is even a supervised robotaxi network. Those are the things that I think will get us past that 300 level, but we'll get to the 265 level without that. Those are my continuing beliefs and analysis. Let's check out the markets and see what is happening now. So we're in the red pretty much everywhere. Apple is one exception, and that is one of the only exceptions. Apple is barely up 87 cents, but and of course the Dow Jones is an exception also, but it is down. It started off in the red, went a little up, and now it's back only up 24.77. The Nasdaq is down 80, S&P down 697, and Tesla down $1.38. It has been flirting. It was up, down, up, down. It's been flirting around break even all morning, mostly in the red, but it had been more in the red than it is right now. You got Google down $1.88, Amazon down $1.50, Microsoft down $1.63, NVIDIA down $1.34 going into earnings. So overall, I would say people are extremely cautious this morning. This could be the beginning of my 10% pullback. If NVIDIA scores today much better than expected, remember the expectations are huge this morning. So if it scores way better than expectations, or Jensen has some announcement, or there's something really special in the earnings call today, maybe that perks up the entire market, especially the techs. But yeah, I don't know. We're way out there, and it may be time for a pullback. We've got the PCE this week, and then nothing. I mean, there's hardly any real news that's going to have much impact. Consumer confidence numbers are out on Thursday or Friday, I forget which one. And then next week, we'll get those employment numbers at the end of the week, and there's quite a few things during the week that could shake things up, but I don't know. Softness, I feel this softness in my soul. Of course, we got a 3-day weekend also, no trading on Monday. A lot of things that could impact stocks over the next few days. All right, let's see. The Cathie Woods are also mostly in the red, almost entirely in the red, are right at even. Dow Jones now only up 5, heading towards the red. Let's look at the percentages. They're very close to zero. The Dow 0.01% up, the Nasdaq 0.36% down, and S&P down 0.07%, Tesla down 0.58. All right, let's take a look where the bonds. I think we're seeing it. It's almost happening here in the bond market. It will be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of days. You've got the 10-year this morning unchanged at 3.833. You've got the 2-year down 0.4%, 0.4 of 1 basis point. So now that means we are less than 3, 2.8 right now, 2.8 basis points separating the two. We have not gone yet into the inversion of the inversion, but we are getting really, really close. The 2-month continues to be weird and out there. 150. So hard to figure. Anyway, about 150 basis points, it continues to be out there. So it'll be interesting to see if later today we may get our re-inversion of the inversion on the 2-year. Okay, on the oil market, it has continued to crumble. I didn't mention Abercrombie and Fitch. I guess the reason I didn't mention it is because it turned out to be less than I thought, but maybe it's worth it. Abercrombie and Fitch this morning down 15% on good earnings and not horrible guidance. But a lot of people pointed to one statement that was made about what did they say? Hard to figure times. In other words, things are, it's hard to know how things are going to be over this next 3 to 6 months. That would definitely be true. Okay, let's go to oil. We've got oil down $1.20, Brent down $1.15. That puts Texas Intermediate back at 74.31, Brent back at 78.40. So the whole Libyan thing completely blown off. The problems in the Middle East completely blown off. Inventories are high. We'll I guess inventories usually come in this morning. People are just dismissing the Libyan problem. Natural gas also down another 1.84 at $1.87. Wow. Okay. Gold also down. I guess all the assets are getting crushed this morning. Gold down 10.50, but remember we're still at 2,542. That is maybe $10, $15 off of all-time highs. Silver down this morning 2%. This is back down under 30 at 29.815. Copper down this morning 1.58%, $4.17. You've got the dollar steadying after a sell-off, it says is the headline. It's up against the Japanese yen, 0.5, down against the euro, 0.5. Okay, there you go. The Bitcoin continues its rather dramatic slide. We were at 66 3 days ago. We're now at 59,698. And that is by the way, this is kind of interesting just for fun news. I don't think it's kind of, anyway, Berkshire Hathaway is now at 1 trillion market value. It is the only non-tech stock ever to reach the 1 trillion level. So that's, you could use that at some kind of a party as, other than that, I'm not sure that it's of any value. All right, let's go back and look one more time. We've got Tesla down $1.73. Dow is still barely over at 5.06. Well, like I said, kind of a flat morning, kind of a nothing morning, not a lot of news, not a lot of things to affect any of the stock market really this morning, except that we're at all-time highs in many, many, many places, and that just doesn't seem sustainable to me. That's my opinion. If any of this is useful for you, anything touches your heart, and you go, Randy, it is finally time. I need to just kind of help you out over there because we know you need new shirts. We've seen this one so many times before, and then you can drop on down to Patreon and help out the old guy. All right, that's all I got for you right now. We'll be back with something at the noon hour. And then Jeff Lutz, of course, later tonight with undoubtedly good news. It's been great talking to you.